here's my list of 9 largest empires in history, in no particular order. First on my list is the Qing dynasty, China's last empire and a global giant. The Qing dynasty, in the year 1644 to 1912, was the final imperial dynasty in Chinese history and one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. Founded by the Manchu people from Northeast Asia, the Qing rose to power after toppling the Ming dynasty and eventually ruled over a population that exceeded 400 million by the early 20th century. At its peak, the empire spanned nearly 5 million square miles, stretching from the Sea of Japan to the Pamir Mountains, making it the 4th largest empire in history. The Qing expanded their domain through military conquests and smart diplomacy, incorporating regions like Tibet, Mongolia, Xinjiang, and Taiwan, shaping the borders of modern China. Despite being seen as outsiders, the Manchu rulers embraced and adapted Chinese traditions, fusing them with their own military governance to manage a vast and diverse population. The dynasty oversaw periods of great cultural flourishing and territorial growth, but also faced major internal and external challenges. From the Taiping Rebellion to the Opium Wars, the empire was eventually weakened by corruption, unrest, and Western interference. By 1912, the Qing dynasty collapsed, ending over 2 millennia of imperial rule, but its influence still echoes in China's politics, borders, and identity today. Next on the list is the Spanish Empire. At its height, the Spanish Empire was so vast, the sun literally never set on its territories, a poetic way of saying it spanned the globe. From the late 15th century through the early 19th century, Spain built one of the largest empires in human history, reaching an astonishing 5.2 million square miles at its peak. It all began in 1492, when Christopher Columbus set sail across the Atlantic and stumbled upon the Americas, igniting a wave of conquest, colonization, and exploration that would reshape the world. The empire expanded rapidly through South and Central America, much of North America, and the Caribbean, fueled by military power, missionary zeal, and the pursuit of gold. But Spain's reach didn't stop in the New World. It extended into Africa, Asia, and even remote corners of Oceania, with trading ports, outposts, and colonies stretching from the Philippines to Morocco. The Spanish Empire wasn't just about territory. It played a major role in creating the modern global economy, facilitating the first true worldwide trade networks through the Columbian Exchange and the Manila Galleons. Silver from the Americas flooded European markets, and Spanish became one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, a legacy still felt today across Latin America and beyond. Though the empire eventually declined due to wars, uprisings, and competition from rising powers like Britain and France, its cultural, religious, and linguistic impact remains deeply embedded in global history. The Spanish Empire didn't just conquer land, it helped forge the interconnected world we live in today. Up next, one of my personal favorite empires to read up about, the Mongol Empire, founded by the legendary Genghis Khan in the year 1206, grew with breathtaking speed and power. By the mid-13th century, it had become the largest contiguous land empire in history, covering an astonishing 9 million square miles. At its peak, it stretched from the Sea of Japan in the east all the way to Eastern Europe in the west, and from the icy frontiers of Siberia down to the warm coasts of the Indian Ocean. This immense domain made up close to 16% of Earth's total land area. What made the Mongols so effective was not just their military might, but their strategic genius and adaptability. Genghis Khan united the nomadic tribes of the steppes and transformed them into a highly disciplined force that could outmaneuver any army of its time. The Mongols used speed, fear, and advanced communication systems to conquer vast territories with brutal efficiency. But the Mongol Empire was not just about conquest. It also played a key role in linking East and West, revitalizing the Silk Road and enabling the flow of goods, ideas, technology, and culture between Europe and Asia. Under the rule of Genghis Khan's descendants, a period of stability known as the Pax Mongolica emerged, creating safer trade routes and helping to shape the development of the modern world. Though the empire eventually fractured into smaller khanates, its impact on global history was enormous. From military innovation to cultural exchange, the Mongol Empire was a force that redrew the map of the world and altered the course of civilization. Up next on my list, the Umayyad Caliphate, the first great Islamic empire. The Umayyad Caliphate, Founded in 661 CE by Muawiyah I, following the first major civil war in Islam, was the second Islamic caliphate in history and the first to form a hereditary dynasty. At its peak, it stretched across an impressive 4.2 million square miles, making it one of the largest empires the world had seen up to that point. With its capital in Damascus, Syria, the Umayyads expanded rapidly across the Middle East, North Africa, parts of the Iberian Peninsula, and deep into Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent. The Umayyads did more than expand territory. They laid the foundation for a unified Islamic empire by declaring Arabic as the official language, promoting Islam as the state religion, and building a vast administrative system to govern people of diverse cultures, faiths, and ethnicities. Their influence helped transform Islam from a regional faith into a powerful global civilization, and they oversaw the spread of Islamic art, architecture, science, and law. This era also saw the early construction of iconic Islamic structures, such as the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem and the flourishing of trade routes that connected Europe, Africa, and Asia. The Caliphate's administration was highly organized, and their coinage system helped solidify economic control across vast regions. However, the Umayyads faced growing unrest, especially among non-Arab Muslims who felt marginalized under their rule. This tension, along with political rivalries and internal dissent, led to their downfall. In 750 CE, the Abbasid Caliphate overthrew the Umayyads and took control, marking a new era in Islamic history. Despite their fall, the legacy of the Umayyads continues to shape the Islamic world to this day. At number 5, the Russian Empire, a giant across 3 continents. The Russian Empire, officially established in 1721 under Peter the Great, was one of the most formidable forces in world history. At its height, it became the 3rd largest empire ever recorded, covering a staggering 8.8 million square miles across Europe, Asia, and even parts of North America, including what is now Alaska. This vast territory gave Russia unmatched access to resources, trade routes, and strategic advantages across multiple continents. By the time of the 1897 census, the empire was home to over 125 million people, representing more than 100 ethnic groups with a kaleidoscope of languages, cultures, and religions. Managing such a diverse population posed constant challenges, but it also made Russia one of the most culturally rich and complex empires of its time. From Orthodox Christians to Muslims, Tatars to Cossacks, the Russian Empire was a melting pot of civilizations. Peter the Great's reforms helped modernize Russia, drawing heavily from Western European ideas in areas like military structure, industry, and education. Later rulers continued expanding the empire through wars, diplomacy, and colonization, pushing Russian influence deeper into Siberia, Central Asia, and even the Pacific. Despite its sheer size and power, the empire couldn't withstand the social unrest and political upheaval brewing in the early 20th century. Deep inequality, military losses, and revolutionary ideas culminated in the Russian Revolution of 1917, which brought an end to imperial rule and paved the way for the formation of the Soviet Union. Even so, the legacy of the Russian Empire still echoes in the borders, politics, and cultural identity of modern-day Russia. I remember being a kid and playing Prince of Persia for the first time. I was completely immersed with the game and completely fascinated by the culture of its gameplay. Therefore, you shouldn't be surprised to hear the empire featured number 6 on my list. Of course, I refer to the Persian Empire, the ancient superpower that united East and West. The Persian Empire, specifically the Achaemenid Empire, was founded around 550 BCE by Cyrus the Great, one of history's most visionary and respected rulers. At its peak, this empire spanned more than 2 million square miles, stretching across parts of Asia, Africa, and Europe, from the Indus Valley in the east to Egypt and the Balkans in the west. It was one of the earliest and most powerful superpowers the ancient world had ever seen. What made the Achaemenid Empire truly remarkable wasn't just its military dominance, but its forward-thinking approach to governance and cultural integration. The empire was highly multicultural, encompassing a vast range of ethnicities, languages, and religions. Instead of forcing conformity, Persian rulers often respected local customs and faiths, which helped them maintain stability over such a diverse population. Cyrus himself is celebrated for issuing one of the earliest declarations of human rights, now inscribed on the famous Cyrus cylinder. The Persian Empire also pioneered several administrative innovations that laid the foundation for modern government systems. These included a complex network of satrapies, provinces, a system of royal roads to improve communication, and standardized currency and weights for trade. Their capital cities, such as Persepolis and Susa, showcase stunning architecture, advanced urban planning, and artistic achievement. Although the empire eventually fell to Alexander the Great in 330 BCE, its influence did not disappear. The Persian approach to governance, diplomacy, infrastructure, and cultural tolerance left a deep and lasting imprint on future empires, from the Greeks and Romans to the Islamic caliphates. The legacy of the Persian Empire remains one of wisdom, strength, and unity across diversity. Up next, we have an empire that I'd consider the least known out of the 9 to be featured in this video, and we remain in Asia for its description. At number 7, we have the Xiongnu Empire, the nomadic power that shaped ancient China. Long before the rise of the Mongols, the Xiongnu Empire emerged as one of the earliest and most powerful nomadic empires to dominate the eastern Eurasian steppes. Founded under the leadership of Modu Chanyu around 209 BCE, the Xiongnu Confederation quickly established itself as a formidable force across modern-day Mongolia, northern China, and parts of Central Asia. Their rule stretched for nearly 3 centuries, holding sway over a vast and rugged landscape from 209 BCE to 89 CE. The Xiongnu were expert horsemen and archers who used speed, mobility, and deep knowledge of the terrain to maintain control over their domain. They thrived on a highly mobile lifestyle, conducting raids and forging alliances to maintain dominance in the region. Their strength and unpredictability posed a constant challenge to their powerful neighbor to the south, the Han dynasty. In fact, the clashes between the Xiongnu and the Han were some of the most important military and political struggles in ancient East Asia. These long-running conflicts not only influenced the Han dynasty's foreign policy, but also played a direct role in the creation of massive defense structures, including early sections of what would eventually become the Great Wall of China. At times, the Han even engaged in strategic marriages and tribute payments in an effort to maintain peace with the Xiongnu. Before we leave Asia, there is one more dynasty that absolutely has to be mentioned, otherwise this whole video will be void. I talk of a formidable group with terrific history, the Yuan dynasty, the Mongol rule that changed China forever. The Yuan dynasty was established in 1271 by Kublai Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, and marked a pivotal moment in Chinese history. It was the first time all of China was unified and ruled by a non-Han dynasty, ushering in an era where Mongol leadership reshaped the culture, politics, and global connections of the Chinese Empire. With its capital set in Dadu, now known as Beijing, the Yuan dynasty became a central hub in one of the most interconnected empires of its time. Kublai Khan was not just a conqueror, but also a capable statesman. He preserved many aspects of traditional Chinese administration while introducing Mongol customs and expanding trade. One of the dynasty's defining features was its policy of religious tolerance. The Yuan court welcomed a remarkable diversity of faiths, including Tibetan Buddhism, which became the state-endorsed religion, as well as Islam, Taoism, Christianity, and even Judaism. This created a unique cultural and religious mosaic, rarely seen in other imperial Chinese dynasties. The Yuan dynasty also played a crucial role in opening China to the wider world. It enhanced trade along the Silk Road, facilitating the movement of goods, ideas, and travelers, including the famous Venetian merchant Marco Polo, whose accounts introduced Europe to the wonders of East Asia. The Yuan period helped deepen East-West contact in a way that would influence global trade and exploration for centuries. Despite these achievements, the Yuan faced persistent challenges. Widespread corruption, natural disasters, and growing discontent among the population led to uprisings, the most famous being the Red Turban Rebellion. By 1368, the Yuan dynasty collapsed under internal pressure and was replaced by the Ming dynasty, but its legacy as a bridge between Mongol nomadism and Chinese imperial tradition remains significant. Last but certainly not least, we arrive at perhaps the most far-reaching and controversial empire in modern history. Few empires have influenced as many kingdoms, cultures, and continents as this one, including many of the civilizations already mentioned in this video. This empire has come under heavy criticism for its actions, and its legacy includes incredible global influence, but also deep scars left by colonialism, exploitation, and imperial domination. At its peak in 1920, the British Empire stood as the largest empire the world has ever seen, controlling an estimated 13.7 million square miles. That's about a quarter of Earth's land surface. It ruled over more than 400 million people, from the plains of India to the cities of Canada, from the highlands of East Africa to the islands of the Caribbean and the coasts of Australia. The empire stretched across every inhabited continent. Though its roots began in the 16th century under Queen Elizabeth I, it grew to prominence through an unstoppable combination of trade, military power, colonization, and naval dominance. Britain's reach shaped the modern world, establishing the global dominance of the English language, spreading Western systems of law, education, and government, and creating vast networks of commerce and migration. Yet, these gains came with high costs, including displacement, resource extraction, enslavement, and violent suppression of uprisings in colonized regions. Today, the legacy of the British Empire remains highly visible and deeply complex. Its influence can be seen in everything from parliamentary systems to global English-speaking populations, but also in the political tensions, economic disparities, and post-colonial struggles that many former colonies still face. It was an empire built on unmatched power, but also on contradictions that the world continues to reckon with. However, what is absolute is that you can trace the fingerprints of Britannia across every chapter of world history, a feat only she can claim. Few empires touched the world like so, and none left a trace as deep. If you enjoyed this mini dive into the 9 largest empires to ever exist, please leave a like. If you want to see more of this type of content, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time.